Namaste, welcome to YogaCandi. I'm Candice and today I have a 40-minute hip opening flow for us. This is going to be great for anybody who's feeling tight in the lower parts of the body. Perhaps you've been driving a lot recently or you're sitting in an office all day. This is going to really warm up our hips, get deep into our hip flexors, making us feel amazing. This is definitely a flow that's more suitable for intermediate practitioners, but of course if you're a strong beginner and you'd like to join in, feel free to do so. There's no need for any props today, but of course if you like to use blocks or a strap, feel free to grab those before we begin. Just wear something nice and comfortable and I'll meet you over on the mat.
Namaste everyone, welcome to the mat. Take a comfortable seat of your choice, any cross-legged position that you find comfortable. We're just going to take a couple of moments here, a couple of minutes to really breathe and feel out the body before we begin our flow today. Make sure that your spine is straight, your shoulders are back and down. Lightly sucking the belly in, engaging the core muscles. Close your eyes, place your hands on your knees, and just breathe naturally here. Today I'd like us to really focus on being present. So if at any point you notice your mind starting to wander, drifting back into thought, just bring your attention back to your breath and back to the body. Set an intention for your practice today. This can be anything from I want to feel strong, happy, positive, present, whatever comes into your mind. There's no wrong here. It's just a lovely word that you can choose, that you can come back to at any point throughout your practice and repeat to yourself. Enjoy the natural rise and fall of the chest as you breathe in and out. And when you're ready, for those of you that have practiced Ujjayi breath and feel comfortable with it, engage that too. Creating that soft whisper sound at the back of the throat as you breathe in and out. Carry this throughout your practice today, remembering to breathe in and out with every move. Don't worry if there's a time that you catch yourself not breathing, just come straight back into it. Enjoy the breath and enjoy this moment. If any thoughts start to cloud your mind, allow them to pass like a windy day. Pay them no attention and come straight back into the breath. Breathe in and raise your hands up towards the sky, pulling them back down into the heart center. We're going to repeat this a couple more times in your own pace, keeping your eyes closed, warming up through the shoulders. After your third one, bow your head and repeat your intention for the day to yourself. Then rub your palms together, creating a warm energy between them, keeping your eyes closed. We're going to place those warm hands onto our eyes. Open and close your eyes behind your palms a few times, and then bring that energy up and over the body, all the way down to the feet. Taking that left arm down to the ground if possible, and reaching your right arm up and over your head. Let's take a side stretch. Feel free to roll out that wrist, making sure to keep the heart open, rolling that right arm backwards. And let's take it over to the other side. Remember to roll the heart open, keep the core engaged, and enjoy the stretch. Rolling out the wrist if you would like to. And then come back up to the center. We're going to do Baddha Konasana here, butterfly legs. Grabbing onto your toes, letting your knees fall out to the sides, remembering to keep your spine straight. And let's flap our wings for a moment, warming through the inner thighs and the hip flexors. Go as fast or as slow as you would like here, and just enjoy the sensations in the body. Remembering to breathe. When you're ready, become still and walk your hands forward, folding forward, really stretching out these inner thighs and hip flexors. Allow your head to drop down and your neck to be relaxed. It's okay if your back has a gentle curve in it at this point. Just enjoy the stretch and breathe into the sensations. When you're ready, walk your hands back towards the body. We're going to come into cat-cow. Take 3 cat-cows here in your own pace, remembering to follow the breath. Breathing in as you dip the belly towards the floor, looking up and opening through the shoulders, and breathing out as you arch through the back, pushing the shoulder blades apart. When you've done your 3 cat-cows, we're going to take a moment to freestyle, bringing your bum down onto your feet, and then move your hips out however you want to move them, even just stretching through the side body. Do whatever you want to do in these few moments here. There's no right or wrong. Remembering to breathe with each movement. Feeling out the body. When you're ready, we're going to push up and back into downward facing dog, walking our legs out for a moment, feeling through the hamstrings, sucking the belly in, rolling the inner thighs away from each other, feet hip distance apart, hands a bit wider than shoulder width distance apart. Pushing your shoulder blades apart as well. Try to see if you can get your armpits to look at each other. Let's take a moment here before we do a couple of plank waves. Roll forward into plank, breathing out as you come back into downward facing dog. Take a couple more in your own at your own pace here. Breathing in, lifting up onto your feet, and breathing out as you roll into plank. Take a breath in and then roll back into downward facing dog as you breathe out. Take another one when you're ready. This time, we're going to send our hips forward and come all the way down onto the belly, setting up for baby cobra. Raising your hands off of the floor. Just hold this for a moment, really engaging the glutes and the legs. Bring your head back down to the ground and we'll lift up once again. Keeping your feet on the floor. And back down, and as you breathe out, come back up again, hands off of the floor. Let's do that again. And then send our hips up and back into downward facing dog. Remembering to engage the core, sucking in the belly. Let's lift the right leg up into the air, so high that we stack the hip and roll that leg open, bending through the knee. I'm going to do a few core exercises here. So as you breathe out, bring that knee to reach the right arm, and then back up into the air, opening the hip out. And as you breathe out, we're going to take that leg over to the left arm, and then back over to the right, and then back over to the left. Bring that leg up into the air, remembering to engage the core during this whole process. When you're ready, lift the left leg up into the air. We're going to do the same thing. Opening through the hip, bending that knee, stacking the hips. On your exhale, bring that knee to touch the left arm. Back up, opening out the hip once again. Then take it over to the other side. Then back over to the left. Really engage through your core, back over to the right, and let's send that leg high up into the air once again. And then back down to meet the right leg and downward facing dog. Wave into plank once again. Come down into chaturanga, all the way to the belly. And let's take a king cobra this time. Feeling through this back bend. Feel free to look back at one leg and then at the other. See how your spine is feeling today. When you're ready, we'll meet in downward facing dog once again. Let's take a slow walk to the front of the mat. Really take your time here. Remembering to breathe. When you get there, let's take our forward fold. Take any forward fold of your choice. Feel free to grab each elbow and rock from side to side if you like the movement. If you would like to bend your knees, do that as well. Let's listen to how you're feeling today. There's no competition. Be kind to the body. And take a moment to hang here and breathe and enjoy. When you're ready, breathe in, halfway lift. Come back down to forward fold. And we're going to sweep our hands across the floor and come up into chair pose. Reaching your hands high up into the sky, we're going to come into mountain, bringing our hands into heart center. Just take a moment to breathe here. Remember to keep all the muscles engaged. An active mountain. When you're ready, breathe in, reach your hands up towards the sky, take a back bend and fold forward. Step your right leg back and just bounce through those hips, feeling through the hip flexors once again. And bring that foot back up to the front. Breathing in, halfway lift. Place your hands once again and step the left leg back. Bouncing through the hips once again. When you're ready, place your palms on the floor, step back into plank, take a chaturanga here, upward facing dog, and we'll meet in downward facing dog when you're ready. Perhaps even don't untuck your toes straight away in down dog. Really stretching through the front of those feet. Just take a moment in down dog here. Sucking in the belly. When you're ready, jump, step, or walk to the front of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale into forward fold. We're going to take a chair once again, raising your hands up to the sky, keeping your palms together and looking up to your fingertips. When you're ready, take a mountain and your hands into heart center once again. Step your feet out as wide as the mat, perhaps your toes off the edges. Raise your hands up into the sky, bend your back, and we're going to come down into a yogi squat, Malasana. Using your elbows to push your knees apart, really feel through the hips and try to keep your back as straight as possible. For those of you that might not be as familiar with this pose, I'm going to face the screen so you can see how this looks from the front. Enjoy this for a moment. Feel free to rock from side to side and feel through the hips. Perhaps open your arms up and back out to the side, back to the center. We can take it over to the other side, really reaching that back arm back behind us, opening up the chest. Come back to the center once again, remembering to breathe. Breathe in. Let's come back up into mountain, bend backwards. I'm just going to step back to the front for you. Raise your hands back up to the sky, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands on the floor and jump back into chaturanga. Or you can step into plank and take your chaturanga from there. Take your flow here and we'll meet in down dog. Walk your legs out in down dog if you would like to. Remember to keep your core engaged and bring that right leg up into the air. Exhale as you bring the knee in towards your chest, hold it there for a moment and then step it between your palms. Engage your core and we're going to lift up into high lunge, remembering to keep your hips squared, looking up at the palms. Make sure that front knee's at about a 90-degree angle and we're going to open out into warrior two. Keeping that foot parallel with the back edge of your mat. And then let's reverse that warrior. Straighten the front leg and we're going to come down into triangle. Engage the core, look up at the top fingertips. Opening out through the hips. Perhaps take that hand up and over you, cross your left ear. Now let's turn to face the long edge of our mat. We're going to come down into a wide-legged forward fold from here. Only come halfway, keeping your back straight, placing your left hand on the ground and your right arm up into the air, looking at your fingertips. Feel free to take this a little further, grabbing the inner left thigh with your right hand, really opening through the chest here. We're going to take it over to the other side. Take that grip again if you would like to on this side as well. And bring that hand back up into the air. Let's go in for our fold this time. placing our hands on the floor in the middle of the mat between our feet. Really trying to lift the tailbone up towards the sky. Keeping our hips square here, facing the front of the mat, the side of the mat. Place your hands on your hips and let's come up into standing once again. Place your palms onto your sacrum and bend backwards for a back bend here. Come back up, raising your hands up towards the sky. Turn your feet inwards and your heels in and your toes pointing outwards. We're going to come down into Goddess. Feel through Goddess, have a little bounce. Opening your arms out as well. And then place your hands on your knees and let's push our hips open. Pushing from one side to the other, using our palms to really open up these hips, open up the legs. And let's do it again, remembering to keep your heart open. Come back up to center, back up to standing. Raise your hands up to the sky and let's come down for a low side lunge here. Using that elbow to really push that knee out. Feel free to open the hands up and out, raising the right arm up into the sky, and take a bind here if you would like to. Gripping the fingertips behind that knee and really opening through the chest. When you're ready, using the strength of your legs, let's push ourselves over to the other side, repeating the same thing. Try to keep your chest as open as possible here. Open up the arms if you would like to, bringing that left arm up and back, looking up to the fingertips. Take your bind if you would like to. Stretching through the shoulders. Stretching through that left hamstring. Feel free to point and flex the toes as well here. Place your hands back into heart center and let's lift ourselves back up to the center. Breathe in, raise your hands, take a slight back bend. Placing your hands back onto your sacrum and take your back bend once again here. Turning your feet back out into Warrior Two. Just hold this for a moment before we come back down to the mat. I'm going to walk out right foot out to the side and come down into lizard. Really pushing the hips forward with that right leg close to the edge of the mat. Feel free to take that right arm and push that right knee even more open, feeling through those hip flexors. Enjoy the stretch. And then when you're ready, come down onto your forearms, allowing your hips to hang heavy, keep them squared here. Keep your core engaged and remember to breathe deep. When you're ready, let's come back up. Walk that foot in between your hands and we're going to place it down for Pigeon Pose. Feel through the back and through the hips to start off with before we take our sleeping pigeon. Just make sure that your hips are squared off, facing the front of the mat, and that your right hip is touching the ground and your left hip is also lowering down. We're going to come forward into sleeping pigeon, resting our head on the floor, allowing your hips to become heavier and heavier, giving into gravity. If you feel any pain here, then do come out of it. Remember to listen to your body and to pay attention to your breath. Enjoy the stretch in the hip and the IT band. When you're ready, we're going to walk our hands back up, and feel free to play around here. Maybe try to lift the left foot off of the ground, pull it in towards the body, stretching out that psoas muscle even more, the front of the quads. You can play around here, perhaps play with a little mermaid in a minute. If this is something you've done in your practice or you just like to feel it out, then get that left foot to hook into the left elbow, or perhaps even come into your king pigeon here. Rest that foot back down onto the ground. We're going to send our hips back up into downward facing dog, a three-legged down dog. Let's take a Vinyasa here. You can take a three-legged Vinyasa, coming into plank with that leg still lifted, into Chaturanga with the leg lifted, and then into upward facing dog, and then send it back to down dog. We're going to repeat all of this on the other side now. So enjoy this down dog for a moment in this resting pose. Keeping the core engaged. And lifting that left leg high up into the air. Bring it in towards the chest. Hold it there for a moment. We're going to place it between the palms. Ready for our high lunge here. Raising the hands high up into the sky, keeping your hips squared off here. Open up into Warrior Two. Remember to engage the core. Lean forward, and we're going to reverse our warrior. And then come down into triangle, straightening that front leg, rolling the hips really open, raising your hand up into the sky, looking at your fingertips. Reach that hand up and over your ear. Then bend through that front knee once again into Warrior Two, and let's bring it into our forward fold with your toes facing inwards. Place your hands onto your sacrum and take your back bend. Hands up into the air. We're going to come down into our forward fold this time. Remember to keep your toes facing inwards and your heels out. Feel through this forward fold. If your head rests on the floor, that's quite alright. If not, that's also okay. Mine isn't quite there yet. Almost. And when you're ready, place your hands on your hips with a straight back, come back up into standing. Taking your feet back out, your toes pointing outwards and your heels inwards. Let's take Goddess once again. Rest your hands on the inside of your thighs and really stretch through the legs, moving from one side to the other, bending and looking from left to right. Move with your breath and listen to the body. Inhale, raise your hands up to the sky. Walk your toes inwards once again, only slightly. And then we're going to take our low side lunges here. Keeping the arms engaged, open them up and out, looking up at the left hand there. Interlace your fingers or even grab the wrist if you would like to take your bind here. Enjoy that shoulder opening and the hip opener. Using the strength of your legs if you would like to, let's go take it over to the other side. Dropping the hips low. Pushing that left hip open. Let's open up the hands once again, looking up at the right fingertips this time. If you would like to, take your bind. Grabbing the wrist or even just the fingertips touching, wherever is comfortable for you. Release your bind and we're going to come back up to the center. When you're ready, raise your hands up towards the sky. Roll your shoulders, place your hands on your sacrum, and let's take that back bend once again. And then let's come into Warrior Two. Before we bring our hands back down to the mat, walking that left leg outwards towards the edge of the mat and your hands on inside the left leg. Let's use that left arm to push the left knee open even more in our lizard here. Remembering to allow the hips to drop heavy, giving into gravity. And bring that back to center. And let's place our hands, our palms, and even our elbows all the way down to the floor. If this isn't possible for you today, that's quite all right. Be where you are. Feeling through those hips. Feeling through the front of the quads there and the psoas muscle. Just breathe into any sensations and then come back up. Walk that foot back into the center. We're going to come down into pigeon once again. Just feel through for a moment. Feel how the hips are right now, how your back's feeling. And when you feel ready, we're going to come back into sleeping pigeon. Walk your hands forward, rest your hands on your palms if you would like to, or on your forearms, or just onto the mat. And breathe here into that deep hip opener. If this becomes too uncomfortable, again, please do ease out of it. When you're ready, walk your palms back and we're going to play around with Mermaid, stretching through the psoas as well. So bringing that right foot off of the ground, really stretch through the front of that quad to start off with. And when you're ready, feel free to take a bind behind your head here in Mermaid, tucking that right foot into the right elbow. Try to open up the chest and look forward. And if you want to, let's come into King Pigeon by grabbing the foot, even placing it on your head if you're at that point, that's fine. Take that foot all the way back down to the ground very slowly. And let's send our hips up into our three-legged dog, raising that left hip up into the sky, that left leg into the sky. And let's take our Vinyasa here. Take your three-legged Vinyasa if you would like to. And we'll meet in downward facing dog when you're ready. Walk through your down dog for a moment. And then let's send our knees to the floor and come in for a child's pose. Taking a rest here, returning back to your natural breath. And let's bring ourselves back up. Swing your legs out in front of you, and we're going to take a seated forward fold here, stretching through our hamstrings even more. Keeping your back straight, Breathe in as you raise your hands up towards the sky and fall forward, taking a grip wherever you can. Depending on where you are at the moment, feel free to bend your knees if you need to. Try to keep your back as straight as possible, tilting your pelvic I'm getting tripped up on my words. Tilting your pelvic bowl forward and really leaning into the stretch. When you're ready, we're going to take shoelace here. Walk your hips forward and try to see if you can stack your knees on top of each other. That left foot underneath the right and the right foot placed over the top. Breathe into the sensations for a moment. Breathe into any discomfort you may feel. Then raise that right arm up into the sky, and we're going to take a little stretch here. And if you would like to, take your bind and YogaCandi arms, also known as cow face arms. Rest your head onto the back of that right arm. When you're ready, unlace your bind and unwrap your legs. And let's swap it over to the other side now. Walk forward to get those knees as close together as possible and sit back down, making sure that both of your sit bones are on the floor. Take a moment here before we take YogaCandi arms once again. Just breathing into the sensations. When you're ready, lift that left arm up into the sky, encourage it with your right hand, and then take your bind when you're ready. Feel free to close your eyes and just enjoy the sensations for a moment. When you're ready, let's come back up into a seat, and we're going to roll through the spine for a moment. Really roll back and forth. Just feeling it out. And send it all the way over into Plow Halasana. Enjoy this stretch for a moment and don't move your neck around in this position. When you're ready, lift your legs up into the floor, up into the air, up into the floor, and just roll very slowly through your spine. Bringing your legs down towards the floor as slowly as possible, engaging your core. And set yourself up for fish pose. Taking a nice back bend here. Point your toes, keeping your legs engaged, sucking in the core, and allow your head just to fall back. Don't rest it on the floor, put any pressure onto it. When you're ready, slowly come up. Open your legs out a little bit, lie on your back, and we're going to come into our final resting pose, Savasana. With your wrists facing up towards the sky and your arms a few inches away from the body. Allow everything to rest here, giving into gravity, feeling the weight of your body against the floor. Breathe and enjoy this resting pose. I'm going to be here for a couple of minutes. I'm just going to let you enjoy. When thoughts come into your mind, allow them to pass naturally and don't pay them any attention. Whenever you're ready, start bringing your awareness back into your body, wiggling through the toes and the fingertips. Or feel free to stay here a little longer if you would like to. I'd like to thank you all for practicing with me once again today. Until next time, Namaste.